Hello everybody, welcome to the Commander Cube. In this episode, we're going to discuss some of the cards from Commander 2020 that I think could make their way into a cube if you so choose. The first cycle I want to talk about is the Impetus Cycle. These are all just fantastic cards. They really bring politics into the game, which is something that I think I strive for in my personal cube. I'll most likely be putting these in and taking the Vow Cycle of auras out and just kind of having them fill the same niche, because I like that this does goad the creatures instead of just giving them a buff. It forces a little more interaction. The next card I want to talk about is Cryptic Trilobite. It's an artifact creature. It costs XX and enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can remove a +1/+1 counter from Cryptic Trilobite to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool, and you can only use this to activate abilities. You can also tap 1 colorless and tap Cryptic Trilobite to put a 1/1 counter on it. I really like this one just because artifacts are good for whoever drafts it. It's good in a +1/+1 counter build, which I do support in my cube, so I think I'll be putting it in there for that. Next up is Sanctuary Blade. It's an equipment that costs 2 colorless, and as Sanctuary Blade becomes attached to a creature, you choose a color. An equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has protection from the last chosen color. I really love equipment. I don't ever build any of my personal decks using equipment in it, so I definitely support it very heavily in my cube, and I like to play it in there. So this will be going in there. Next we have, oddly enough, I only selected 1 green card outside of the Impetus Cycle to put into my cube. Green, as you all know from playing regular Commander, is just loaded. So whenever you're picking a new card to go into your green slots, you have to consider, is this one of the top 100 or so best cards that green has that fill my needs in Commander? With that being said, I did choose to put Glade Muse in. Glade Muse is a creature beast, costs 2 and a green to play, and whenever a player casts a spell, if it's not their turn, that player draws a card. I kind of like that. It adds a kind of a sub game to the game, and I really love actually allowing people to draw lots of cards because it helps to speed up games. The draft process of a cube takes up some additional time, so if you can speed up the game by doing other things, then to me that's a no-brainer. Next we have Agitator Ant. It is a insect creature. It costs 2 and a red. And it says, at the beginning of your end step, each player may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. And then you goad each creature that had counters put on it this way. Again, I really love the goad mechanic. It's one of, to me, the most fun mechanics. It helps speed up the game. You get creatures attacking, and it's kind of a political tool as well. So I really do love it. Next, we have Fireflux Squad. It's a human soldier creature. Costs 3 and a red, has haste, and whenever Fireflux Squad attacks, you may exile another target attacking creature you control. If you do, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Honestly, this card isn't like phenomenal and it's not an auto include, but in my cube I'm having a hard time filling some of the red spots, so I figured I could just throw that in there for now until something better comes out to replace it with. Next, we have Frontier Warmonger. It is a human warrior creature for 3 and a red, and it says, whenever 1 or more creatures attack one of your opponents or a planeswalker they control, those creatures gain menace until end of turn. I like this because it's going to encourage combat. Again, try and speed up those games. And combat stuff is, in regular games of Commander, I think something that is often forgotten. But in a limited format, which a cube is a limited format, it really is kind of important. Next, we're going to move into some of our blue cards. We have Eon Frolicker. It is an elemental otter. It costs 2 and 2 blue. It has flying, and when Eon Frolicker enters the battlefield, if you cast it, target opponent takes an extra turn after this one. Until your next turn, you and planeswalkers you control gain protection from that player. I really love this. It It's going to bring up politics. I think you'll find with a lot of the cards that I chose from Commander 20 is they are cards that are going to help with political decks. And I think that one of the most fun aspects of Commander, one of the things that sets it apart from every other format that Magic has to offer, is the political game. I intend to do a whole episode on politics. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but my cube is stuffed full of political cards, and it's led to some of the most fun games that I've ever played. Next we have Decoy Gambit. It is an instant for 2 and a blue, and then for each opponent, choose up to one target creature that player controls, then return that creature to its owner's hand unless its controller has you draw a card. I just like this because it's a potential 3-for-1. You can return 3 cards to owner's hands, or you could also just draw cards. It only costs 3, so either one of those things for me is great. I know a lot of people will say that anytime you give an opponent the choice, they're going to choose the thing that is best for them, which, fine, it's perfectly fine. If they're not sending something back to their hand, you're still getting to draw cards, and it's at instant speed, so it doesn't hurt at all. Next we have Tidal Barracuda. It is a fish creature for 3 and a blue. It says, any player may cast spells as though they had flash, and your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. I just think this adds a kind of a cool wrinkle to the game. I don't want to spend the money on Vedelkin Orrery for my cube, and I probably wouldn't, even if I had it, put it in my cube. I think that this giving everybody flash is just going to add some really cool interactions taking place in the cube. Next, we're going to move into the white cards, and actually white had some really fantastic cards. They were shown some love by Wizards in Commander 20. First, we have Verge Rangers. It's a human scout creature for 2 and a white. Has first strike, and you may look at the top card of your library at any time. And then, as long as an opponent controls more lands than you, you may play lands from the top of your library. This is going to be an auto-include in any cube for white, in my opinion, just because ramp is such a difficult thing to get in there. Next, we have Cartographer's Hawk. It is a bird creature for 1 and a white, and it has flying. When Cartographer's Hawk deals combat damage to a player who controls more lands than you, return it to the owner's hand. If you do, you may search your library for a Plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. I think this is a really cool card. Again, it's just going to help white with a little bit of ramp, and you know how earlier I was mentioning that it's really difficult to find new green cards to fit into the cube. It has to be one of the best green cards in the top, say, 100 or so that would fit your needs. White is really easy to find decent cards to fit in, and it's just because right now I'm still looking to fill about 20 slots in my cube. So this is going to be an auto-include for me. Next, we have Call the Coppercoats. It's an instant for 2 and a white. It has Strive, which means this spell costs 1 and a white more to cast for each target beyond the first. You choose any number of target opponents and create X 1/1 white human soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of creatures those opponents control. I think that this card's really fun. It kind of surprises people that nobody's really expecting this type of a card to be played, especially in a cube. Again, we're going to have a lot more creatures than what normal EDH would have, so it can kind of just sneak up and get you. I love that it's instant speed too, and I think that that's what makes this card good. If it was a sorcery, I probably would not be including it. Alright, well that wraps up the cards from Commander 20 that I'm going to be contemplating putting into my cube. As always, I'm going to leave you with a pack 1 pick 1 for my personal cube. Looks like in this pack we have some card draw. I love the swords for drafting, but I'm going to probably go with Hunted Horror in this. And it's for no reason other than that it's a really just fun card. I love getting a 7/7 Trampler for 2. I also love that you can play the political game a little bit with it, giving an opponent 2 3/3 green centaur creature tokens with protection from black. It honestly probably isn't the best pick in this, but that's going to be the one that I'm going to go with. If you haven't done so already, I would really love if you could like and subscribe to this channel. Let me know in the comments below what your pack 1 pick 1 is, and I can't wait to chat with you again.